So the other day we were laughing a little bit because with the shutdown in New York due to COVID, um, we were making some jokes about how we feel bad for extroverts because they are probably dying right now, being forced to stay inside. And then that gave us the idea to do a short little video on introversion and extroversion and kind of what the difference between them is.
Yeah, first let's start. What are you?
I'm an introvert.
And I am too. On the scale, I'm like 99% introvert.
Yep.
On any test I take.
Yeah, same.
I am not an extrovert at all, which a lot of people are surprised by because of my online. Like, I'm pretty bold. But that's the thing about introverts is they can be who they are not in real life online.
Yeah, actually, this is a great starting point because I think that one of the biggest misconceptions about introverts and extroverts is how they interact socially and their social ability and how they, their interactions with other humans. And basically, it comes down to just simply misunderstanding what introverts and extroverts.
Definition.
Yeah, what it represents.
Yeah.
And what it represents is simply what is the real world to that person. So for an introvert like each of us, the real world is our introversion. It's our internal world, our mind. Basically, the thoughts that we have are what we consider to be real and true to us. And we don't care what happens.
Anyone else thinks, really.
We don't care what happens in the external environment relative to our own thoughts. We come to our own truth.
And extroverts, what do they do?
Extroverts are the opposite. For
external
extroverts,
world.
It's external world that is the real world. So they need to throw ideas out to the external world and interact with it in order to work through their thoughts and get validation. If
external events like this COVID thing is really affecting them because it's really happening in the external world. They're seeing mayhem already, so it's real.
Yeah.
We're like, it'll all blow over, like it's fine.
Yeah.
But they're seeing their environment being impacted and it's stressing them out more.
Yeah. And
not only from the social thing.
Yeah, exactly. And so people are a part of the external world. Another person is external to you. They're part of that external world and you interact with them. And that's where this, the idea of extroverts being social butterflies and introverts are socially inept, that's where that kind of comes from. It's because people make up a significant amount of the external world. So extroverts love interacting with them because that's how they recharge. That's how they, work through their thoughts, get validation. Introverts can't do that. Introverts need to kind of work through their own thoughts. They get validation internally, and other people can just be a drain on them because every piece of external information they take in, they need to screen against the truths already within them, and that can be very draining on the energy.
Yeah, Jung referred to extroverts as the desire to influence and be influenced by external events.
Yeah.
Which is,
that's
speaks to that.
That's a really good way of looking at it. And for those of you who aren't aware, Carl Jung, or Jung, whatever, however you say it, he was a contemporary of Sigmund Freud. So he was another thought leader in psychology at that time.
He wasn't as wacky as Freud.
Yeah, right. But anyway, so with everything going on right now, extroverts need to be isolated just like introverts do, but that's really hard on them because all they have is themselves or maybe one other person, and they need a lot of interaction. So it's going to be more difficult on them than if you're
even if you guys have kids, it's different social interaction, as you moms know. It's not the same as talking to your friends at work or your girlfriends or whatever. It just isn't when you're talking to little ones.
Yeah, and I think that that's because, and this applies to both extroverts and introverts, is when you get into a very close relationship with someone. For example, Brianna and myself, we're both introverts, but we have entered into each other's internal worlds. And that's what children do too. They're part of your internal world because you're so close to them. And so I'm sure any other introverts out there listening can understand this. Like, you might not be able to stand being around most people for like more than an hour or whatever. But then you end up finding like that one person, be it your best friend or your significant other, where it doesn't even feel like... They don't exhaust you. Yeah, it doesn't feel like a drain on your energy. And that's because they're literally part of your internal world. They're inside your bubble with you. And that applies to extroverts too. So if you're stuck inside with your husband or wife or children, it's not giving you that stimulation you need, because you might as well be stuck inside with yourself, because they're part of your inner world.
So what are some things that extroverts can do when they're stuck inside? Like during a pandemic, right? Like this is the only time that I really think that something like this is going to happen.
Yeah, like, because it's
unless
like
someone is in like solitary confinement in jail or something, like this isn't going to be an issue later in life. But social media is great. Obviously, you don't have the one-on-one connection, but extroverts, get on there and talk to people. Don't be afraid to voice your opinion. Like, get in there, get into conversations. People, they don't care. They want you to interact with them. That's why they're on the internet too, and on social media platforms.
Well, on that same note, like, just using any of the messaging platforms to stay in touch with people, or even call them on the phone so that you feel like you're interacting with someone.
Virtual meetings are really big right now for extroverts. Like, I have people that I know that are doing these like Zoom meetings. The download rate has like skyrocketed in the last couple of weeks. Yeah. Get on Zoom, and you can even have a movie night. Like, watch a movie with your friends. That's a great idea. I mean, that sounds like torture to me, but extroverts would love it.
Well, related to that too, this is another reason why introverts like Brianna seem like extroverts on social media. I'm sure I seem like an extrovert to some people as well. And that's because social media provides us a barrier from draining interactions. We can choose when to engage on our own terms.
I don't have notifications on my phone or anything.
So
because I choose when I want to interact with people.
Yeah, exactly. So introverts like they need time to put information against their internal truths. Social media gives them that time. They can interact on their terms. They don't have someone, right there, like, just constantly engaging with them.
Oh my gosh, that gives me so much anxiety thinking about it.
And so another idea outside of trying to find ways to interact with people for extroverts is, and we're focusing on extroverts because introverts, you're probably doing fine.
You're happy.
Yeah, there's that one.
I'm happy.
There's that one meme that's been circulating where it's like this person curled up and they're like, I've been preparing for this my whole life.
Exactly.
So you're probably doing fine. But for the extroverts, while it's going to depend on you personally, just getting outside.
Some extroverts like alone time, but that's more like ENTJs, right?
Yeah. And you don't need people interaction. And this is what I meant by
that's what confuses a lot of people.
It depends on you and what you prefer doing, but you might find that you do just fine as long as you can get outside your house and interact with nature. Because remember, the external world
is the real world to you.
Yeah, and it includes everything external to you, and not just people. People are a part of it, but they aren't the only part of it. So as long as you can get out there and interact with them, then you might find that gives you the satisfaction you need.
Yeah, and something to remember too, physical distancing doesn't equate to social distancing. We can still find ways to socially interact with people without physically touching them.
Yeah, go meet up with all your friends, keep 6 feet between each of you, and just yell at each other.
As long as they're not coughing.
Yeah, there you go. Is there anything else you wanted to add in this video? No?
That's it.
All right, well, if you like this one, give us a like, comment, subscribe, and we'll see you next time.